I just wrote it in the actual group chat. Go ahead.
Okay.
We're gonna bring this up right now. Okay.
All
we're live. This is how
I
this
don't
works.
care.
All right. Welcome in, everyone. New podcast here, new episode on this show. Epstein Cellmate, Tenesse Lawmakers. The Bud anti-woke boycott is on Nike now. Jeremy Renner tells all. Just don't eat anything during that segment. And we've got restaurant limits. Matt LeBlanc did what Trump did, breaking up with the Barber, another Simpsons prediction, and more. Dear Lord, that's a podcast.
Quick on the button there, buddy.
Sorry, bud. Sorry. Quick on the draw.
Are we gonna get this out of the way first, or no?
No,
I don't have much time here because
I promise. I promise we'll fit it in, but not
That's
first.
What she said. That's what she said.
Epstein Cellmate, quickly have to talk about this. Epstein Cellmate, who was an ex-cop, was just convicted of killing 4 people.
Good Lord.
Former police officer Nicholas Tartaglione, doesn't bode well for our people, who once shared a cell with Jeffrey Epstein, was found guilty in New York federal court of a gangland-style murder. He was found guilty yesterday in White Plains following a 3-week trial regarding a December 2016 slaying in Otisville, about 70 miles north of Manhattan, which claimed the lives of Martin Luna, Miguel Luna, Urbano Santiago, and Hector Gutierrez. Urbano Santiago, rest in peace. Phenomenal name to say. I wish my name was Urbano Santiago.
Yep, R.I.P.
That's stuck with Anthony. It's just terrible.
So he was convicted when?
Yesterday.
And he's been in jail since, I guess this whole trial's been going on since Epstein was around?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. He's U.S. Attorney of the Southern District, Damian Williams, said Tartaglione, a former police officer turned drug dealer.
Ooh.
Yes. His acts were heinous, represents a broader portrayal. He was a former police officer who once swore to protect the very community he devastated. A jury has found Tartaglione guilty of these heinous acts, sending a message that no one is above the law.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to be the theme this year.
He was allegedly selling cocaine, steroids, and other drugs when he accused Martin Luna of stealing more than $200,000 from him. Federal prosecutors had alleged on April 11, 2016, Tartaglione allegedly lured Luna to a bar in Orange County, New York, where Luna was accompanied by his nephew, Miguel, his niece's fiance, Santiago, and a family friend, Gutierrez. What occurred next could only be described as pure terror, as Tartaglione tortured Martin, then forced one of his nephews to watch Tartaglione strangle Martin to death with a zip tie.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
Tartaglione and the two of his associates then transported Miguel, Urbano, and Hector, who were simply at the wrong place at the wrong time, to a remote wooden location, forced them to kneel, and execute them with gunshots to the back of the head.
God.
I think that's what happens when you share a cell with the worst person since Adolf Hitler, basically.
Well, that happens as a result. Well, sharing a cell with the worst person happens as a result of killing 4 people.
Yeah, that's true. That was on the other side around. By the way, this guy was not in his cell at the time that Epstein was found dead.
I think we knew that.
Tenesse Lawmakers down in Tennessee.
Crazy stuff.
Down in... We should start the show over.
Man.
Down in Tennessee, the House GOP has expelled 2 Democrats in retaliation over gun control protests.
Now, the latest, just to catch everybody up, I think they're going to be reinstated after all this backlash.
Is that because I haven't seen that just yet?
It looks like that's the latest on Twitter. Whether or not, take it for what it's worth. Twitter, that's what everybody's saying. But
that what? I don't even know.
Okay, so what happened was these 3 lawmakers in Tennessee, Democrats, were out in the protesting with citizens, with a huge group of citizens against gun. Trying to get gun laws enacted and protesting for gun reform. The Republican-led, what's it called, House that's there,
Yes.
Voted to eject 2 of the 3 lawmakers that were participating. And those 2 happened to be black. The one that was not ejected, who did the same exact thing, is a white woman.
Well, that's unfair because the 2
That's exactly what happened.
No, the 2 that were expelled were also named Justin, and she wasn't. I believe that it was anti-Justin behavior.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
You can't rule that out. But what I'm saying is effed up.
Nah, it was probably the black thing, but I like to think it was
blatant
the Justin
racism.
thing.
The Justin thing is it's the PBS way of spinning this.
Yeah.
But no, so these 2 black gentlemen were expelled from the House, and the white woman
was not.
And so now, from what I understand, they got, it was just an incredible amount of backlash, and it seems that they're going to get reinstated, but I'm not 100% on it. Don't quote me on that.
Well, it was pure insanity that they were expelled in the first place, and some of the lawmakers, I saw some of the clips. Some of the lawmakers, they were like really treating them like shit. Like it was really outlandishly racist behavior. I mean, the one guy was like, explain. It sounds like you're calling for violence when you chant "No justice, no peace," and the guy was like, "What?" Like people have been chanting that from the beginning of time.
That is a long traditional chant in protests. Very traditional. It's blatant. It's like the 3 of them did the same thing, and only the 2 black men were expelled.
Which I can't understand, and I would love for them to talk to somebody, because I haven't heard many of the Republicans in this House talk about this, of why those 2 and not her, because all 3 of them did the same exact thing.
And not only that, I don't think. I mean, then you say, well, then okay, all 3 of them should have been expelled, but none of them should be expelled because all they were doing was protesting, exercising their First Amendment right. They weren't doing anything, against the law. They were just protesting peacefully.
There was no law broken, but it was against House rules. Like you can't be recognized. You can't. You have to be recognized to speak, and so they weren't recognized, but they were in there chanting and protesting and speaking, and so that's technically the rule of which they used to expel them.
But they weren't in the chamber, were they? They were just in the. They were in the hall or something.
No, I think they walked into the chamber. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were in the chamber at a point.
Well, either way, it's a bunch of bullshit.
It's crazy behavior. And then the other one was like, you wanted attention, now you got attention. Like he really spoke down to him. I don't know who the representative was, and I feel bad for these guys. They're like trying to represent their constituents. Not that you want to like bring race into it, but it was the 2 black guys and not the white one. By the way, the white woman, she was up for expulsion. She didn't get the votes that the other 2 got.
Yeah, they didn't vote her out.
And the 3 of them were standing there like together throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, holding hands, all the hands raised. They did the same thing.
She, by the way, I think her name is Gloria. Hold on, I'll go through my notes here. Gloria Johnson. Gloria Johnson was elected to the House 10 years ago when there was another mass shooting at a school. She was a teacher or something or whatever, a principal or whatever. She was in the school. There was a mass shooting, and she decided then that she was going to run to try and change things. Yeah. And here she is 10 years later. They're still dealing with the same bullshit, and she can't even get expelled because she's got the wrong color of skin on her. I don't know what the fuck they're doing down there in Tennessee. But what I was going to say was the two districts that Justin and Justin, which are going to make a great morning show after they finally leave this career.
I'm tuning in.
Yeah, me too. They're both representing the biggest, their constituents are mostly black. Their districts are mostly black. So they're like, you're shutting our fucking whole people down. It ain't just us two. Yeah. It's all, it's all the people, all the black people, not all the black people, but it's a lot of the black people in the state.
Yeah, and it's not like they're protesting children being murdered. It's not, this is a just cause. It's just the whole thing is batshit upside down.
Yeah. I don't understand why they don't just fucking just pass some laws and try. What's the big deal?
Because they're being paid not to.
Fucking big deal.
It's such corrupt bullshit.
Well, that's what upsets me the most by the end of the day. I don't like it when one little entity has this much say over my life and I'm not even getting a cut of it. Like, I know people are getting paid off of it, but I'm not.
No, you're not.
And
you're an ass.
And I got it. No, I'm serious. Like, you know, I get it if people are benefiting from it, but there's so few that are benefiting from it, and there's so many that are
in power
are affected. Yeah, but it's the few that are in power. It ain't a lot of people. If all the people in power are affected, I don't love it, but I can give it a pass.
The NRA is funneling millions of dollars to these people, not to, to keep the gun laws nice and loose.
J Sabs, are your kids? I don't know how old your kids are. Are they in some sort of school, pre-K bullshit?
I can't believe you don't know this answer.
I have no idea.
Yes, they are.
They are, right?
They're in pre-K, yes.
Do you worry? Because you live in a worse neighborhood than Frank. Do you worry that they're gonna get? You ever worry about them like getting shot?
Oh, I was like, worry about them with a what exactly? No, I don't. I don't really have that fear. Of course, it'll probably happen next week that I just said that. No, I don't have that fear because New York gun laws are so different.
Are they?
In so much, yeah.
Why? What are they? I mean, the type of gun you're allowed to have. Are you allowed to own the big guns that are used, the AR-15s and all this stuff? Are you allowed to have them in New York?
No.
You're not allowed to own at all, just to keep them.
The New York gun laws are way stricter than I think how many states, but we're like up there in strictness of what you can have, what you can carry, who can get a gun. It's like it's not really part of our daily lives like in other states where it is.
Right.
It's not as big of a hobby as it is in other states. So at least and especially where we are too.
Yeah.
It's not.
See, I worry more because of where we are, because there is some fucking hickish behavior. I mean, not by you, but by me. Like, we have some. I got some yokels out here. I got some fucking.
Well, I mean, you talk about the strict gun laws in New York, and I'm trying to think of, when was the last mass shooting in New York? You know what I mean? I'm trying to like a school thing, nothing. I'm trying to think. I don't want to be disrespectful and forget one, but I don't remember.
I don't think there has been one.
Because of what you just said, probably the laws are a lot stricter here. You're not allowed to have this type of gun. You're not allowed to carry that type of whatever it is. But you go to places where the laws are looser, and that's what it is. And not nobody, but the people that are in charge don't seem to want to see that.
Also, where I went to high school, you had to go through a metal detector as well.
Right.
And that was every morning. And yeah, I mean,
look how good you turned out.
I'm so good. So good. Yeah, and like a lot of these places, like a lot of reasons why these school shootings happen is because schools don't have security set in place. Like a lot of these places, you could literally just walk in whenever you want, wherever you want. Which is crazy because in New York, I know, was it I can't remember who has stricter. I don't know if it's New York City or like Long Island school districts all have their own, like each school district has their own rules. But basically, you can't walk in whenever you want.
No shit. Like in my kid's school, like the doors are all locked.
Right.
Yeah, you can only get out. You can't get in.
And you have to go to the office, and then you have to show proof. Like I went to go bring my son something, and I fucking had ID, and I'm like, I'm here to. I had his name and everything, and they're looking at me like, we still don't think you're a father, and I'm like, have you been talking to my wife?
You don't look like you fathered any children.
Yeah,
to be honest.
They're like, when was the last time you played a video game? I go, yesterday. And they're like, I don't think so.
Checks out. We're gonna have to escort you out, sir.
They're like, show me a checkbook, and I'm like, shit, I don't have one of those.
No, see, because
I swear, you want to know the God's honest truth? They go, what's your teacher's, what's your son's teacher's name? And I go, I have no idea.
You know, I'm the dad, right?
I'm like, Flanagan.
Sure, the dad. Sure.
Yeah,
Smother. Something with a T. Something with a T.
Give me a hint. Give me a hint.
I feel like I was on Wheel of Fortune.
But yeah, but look at, you just look at the places all around the country that the gun rules are not as strict as New York. And knock on wood, I don't remember the last school incident shooting that happened in New York. I don't know of any off the top of my head. But they're happening all the time, these shootings. And people are, gun laws don't work. Well, they do. I mean, you go all around the world to every other country that has gun laws, common sense gun laws, and the shootings are way higher here than anywhere else. So obviously they do something.
I can't believe you don't worry at all. I worry a little bit. I know my wife worries, but to be fair,
that's not like
you worry about the kids getting shot. Yeah, because we live in it. We have chickens and cows, and there's like farms out here. So I don't know. Not to sound like anti-farmist, but
who's hunting chickens and cows?
I'm just saying, we're just a lot more. Where I live is a lot more closer to Tennessee.
It's rural.
And Arkansas than where you guys live, and we live 40 minutes away from each other. So,
yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
It's messed up stuff.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens with these two Tennessee lawmakers. Bud and the anti-woke boycott is now moving over to Nike. I feel like you should check your penis, Frank. You're almost done with that Bud Light. See if it's still there.
It's so good.
I have to take a picture of that.
Are you worried that you're going to turn into a woke transgender? Actually,
it was the first thing I thought. I went, oh my God, how could I drink this? It's going to change everything.
Now, let me ask you, are you just drinking that Bud Light just to shove it in people's faces? Because you don't drink Bud Light.
No self-respecting human being drinks Bud Light.
I had Bud Light for poker night. I have the fridge down here, and I went and grabbed the bottle.
You really hate your friends, don't you?
I have a different array of beers, and one of them is Bud Light.
None of them are good.
So, listen, I drank this just now, and it reminds me, I don't know, of hanging out in the city. I don't know why, but Bud Light. When we used to go out and hang out, and I don't know. I feel like that's what we ordered sometimes.
No, we know you maybe. I don't think I've ever ordered a Bud Light.
I don't know what to tell you, but this whole it's so stupid.
So it started with Kid Rock and some other people. Now Travis Tritt is doing it.
If you're following along with what Kid Rock and Travis Tritt are doing, reevaluate your life. You've got some problems that you need help with, and it might be time for some counseling.
Travis Tritt announced on Twitter that he'll be removing Anheuser-Busch products from his tour hospitality rider.
Oh no, not Travis Tritt.
I know. Can you believe they lost Travis Tritt?
Give me a break.
Hours later, the multi-platinum selling artist shared a second tweet that included a photo of RuPaul's Drag Race show teaming up with Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey Company. I don't know what is I'm like, is it just me? I mean, tell me. I feel like, Janine, you'll be honest with me.
Okay.
Is it just me, or are we out and out just blatantly anti-trans and anti-gay with all of this stuff? I mean, like the country all of a sudden, like we're
a section of the country.
all of a sudden it's too much to wear a Pride hockey jersey and warm for 10 minutes during warm-ups.
It's so ridiculous.
If a beer company wants to give beer to a transgender influencer, that is sparking such an outrage.
Yeah, what is the difference? Why does that bother anybody? Get over it. Drink your beer and shut up about it. Who cares who the spokesperson, unless the spokesperson is a Nazi or a really bad person, then you should be fine. Who cares? It's just a sponsor. It's a spokesperson. Since when does you eat McDonald's? The spokesperson's been a clown for decades, and who gives a shit? Like my point is, who cares who the spokesperson is?
Let me ask you something, Frank. What's your favorite fast food that you eat all the time?
Wendy's.
What if the Wendy's spokesperson became Donald Trump? What would you do then?
Oh, wow, good question.
I probably wouldn't eat there. I said Nazi or really bad person.
You really would stop eating Wendy's because of that.
Yeah. But a trans person is not a really bad person or a Nazi or someone that I like. If trans people were the spokespeople for anything, I'd be like, great, good for you. That's amazing. Why is that a negative? Why is that seen as a negative?
Let me tell you something. If Wendy herself murdered my mother in front of me, I'd go to her. I'd stand over her casket with a Dave's double and tell her it was a good run, Ma. Thanks for everything. I will never give up eating Wendy's.
Wendy's is really good.
It's really good.
It's never frozen.
That's what I hear. People tell me it's never frozen.
People tell me there's other places that freeze it. They're sad.
What do they got over there with Sleepy Joe? They've got a clown and a frozen Big Mac.
Ooh.
Ridiculous.
Look at this burger next to my hands. Now, which one's bigger, the Big Mac or Donnie's hands? All right, I'm sorry, Jenny. You were going to say something really important.
So, Painting Services by Steve says, support Miller Lite and Reebok. Nike and Budweiser doesn't want your money. Why does Nike and Budweiser, this is directed to Painting Services by Steve and anybody who agrees with this, why does their spokesperson being trans upset you so much? What's the big deal? If the spokesperson was a straight man, what is the difference? Why does the person being trans make it a negative in your eyes?
Because some people don't believe in the whole trans thing, so they're not going to support it. That's it.
You don't have to, if you don't agree with it, doesn't mean that they're a bad person or they're evil or anything like that. It
doesn't mean that
exist.
they think that. They just could not want to just drink it.
So you're so some people are anti-trans is what you're saying.
Right. Just like some people are anti-Trump, but they're not going to eat Wendy's anymore because he's a
huge difference. It's a huge difference.
No, it's not.
It is a gigantic difference. Trans people are not evil, jerks.
In your eyes.
In common sense eyes.
No, in your eyes. It's called having an opinion. So if some people think trans people are this way, and some people think
that's a bigoted opinion.
Some people think that Trump is
if the specific sponsor, I don't know who the sponsor, what the person's name is of Bud, if that specific person was a bad person and they happen to be trans, then by all means say, boycott, whatever you want to do. But this particular person, them being trans, has nothing to do with, like, the only reason that these people are boycotting is because the person's trans, and that is not. You're ostracizing an entire community. Trump is one person who, listen, if they thought that this spokesperson was a bad person and did some bad shit, then I'd be like, all right, well, maybe they have some kind of case. But their only basis for boycotting is that they're trans. That's their only basis. And that is not enough to think that to be like, oh, fuck this. I'm not, It doesn't make any sense. They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't do anything to you, and they're not ruining the country, and they're not doing anything.
It doesn't. They don't
It's
have to ruin
transphobic.
That's on them then.
That's
You don't
what
have
I'm
to
saying.
understand it. It's like that's what
Yeah,
they
if they
believe
wanna
in, and that's it.
If they want to boycott it, that's up to them. It just doesn't make any sense to me. All right, Painting Services by Steve says, you read the Bible, Frank? Yeah, the Bible has a lot of stuff that we don't do anymore. You know, there's people, they said...
like what? Eat meat on Fridays?
In the Bible, it says you can sell your daughter into slavery. It was perfectly legal in the Bible, in the Old Testament.
He's like, I got 2 daughters.
You could also, anybody who works on Sunday has to be put to death. Anybody who commits adultery has to be put to death. Anybody who touches the skin.
Can
of
I just
a pig,
say something? A woman
death.
snuck that one into the Bible. I'm pretty sure that was a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So all I'm saying is, yeah.
Oh, and wait, you're forgetting the other thing.
Take the good things from the Bible, and then there's stuff we don't do anymore because it's antiquated, it's old, it's not what we're about anymore as a society.
Thou shalt not look at a girl's ass while she walks by in high school. Commandment number 15.
Good one.
See?
Good point, Janine.
That's
okay.
up there, I guess.
I think, honestly, in all of this, if there's anybody that should be offended, it's the trans people, because to have one of their own drinking a Bud Light is...
Well, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
That's the
it's
lowest.
Definitely a male going to a female, right?
I'm not sure which way it goes, but it ends up at Bud Light. You've done something wrong.
Who is do we know who I don't know who the spokesperson is. Do we know who?
Dylan Mulvaney.
Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which,
identifies
again,
as a man or a woman. Do we know?
I'm not sure. Well, no, she's a woman now, I think.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm not. You know me. I can't roll it.
That's how you know. That's how you know she's not a real man, because she's drinking a Bud Light. Go ahead. Next.
She looks like a woman. I don't know if it's good.
Oops.
She looks like a woman. I don't know if she identifies as a woman. I am sorry for any
she pee like a woman.
I don't know. I'm not sure how any of it works. I know she has piss poor taste in beer. That's all I know about her. But at the same time, I know what it's like to be on this internet, and you got to take some endorsement deals sometimes just to pay the rent. So I don't hate on her for it.
It's not like Bud or Bud Light is. It's like the #1 beer in the country, isn't it? I mean, everybody goes, oh, it sucks and it's terrible. But isn't it like #1, or it's at least in the top 5 in terms of how much they sell?
Yeah, McDonald's is #1 in fast food. Yeah. It's good food.
I don't know what to tell you, but my point is people are buying it no matter what you say about it.
Oh, of course. Well, everybody's pointing out that all these hicks are down there buying this shit just so they could blow it up and shoot at it, and they're still making a sale for fucking Bud Light.
Yeah, do what you want. Once you buy it, it's yours. Do what you want.
I like this name, by the way. A Golf Twitler.
Oh, that's good.
That is a really good name.
A Golf Twitler.
What's going on with your junk is none of my business unless we share a bed.
True.
That is true.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, what you got going on, that's your, how you dress, how you act, that's all part of your personality. That's who you are.
If you top or bottom or both.
Who the hell is anybody else to tell you what you can and can't do?
But it feels very it feels like open-ended bigotry. Now, I think Janine is making a good point, Frank, on what she's saying, because people feel different about different things. However, I would say, this is also how we talked about women years ago. It's also how we talked about Black people years ago. And it's
women, it's all right. Go ahead.
But it seems strange that it's like we've just been moving this hatred from one person, from one group to the next. And now it happens to be on. I feel congrats to the gays, because I think it's come off the gays and now it's onto the trans people, where it's like
they're carrying it all now.
They're carrying the burden.
Not all, but it's unbelievable. We know it's the wrong side of history. And it's been proven over and over again. When you single out a group of people and you pick an arbitrary trait of theirs and say, well, you're inferior because of this one trait. That's wrong. We all know that. We've learned that lesson a million times. So this is exactly what's happening again. It's just now it's happening to trans people. And it's like, dude, just fucking leave trans people alone. They're making a living just like anybody else. They have a right to sponsor, to have sponsors and to do podcasts or she's a podcaster, right? Or Instagram or something.
God, I hope not. I hope
she's doing something. And you know, if she has this, she's allowed to have sponsors when she's not supposed to be sponsored. That's how podcasts and whatever make their money. I mean, that's why would you? It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. It's so close-minded and anti what America is supposed to be about. It's about acceptance and all types of people, all types of families. That's why we came to America a couple hundred years ago. Because we were escaping persecution, and this was supposed to be the land of the free. Only if we agree with you, though. It's like, what the fuck? Come on. Yeah, we could be free, but yeah, not free, you know, unless we agree with what you're doing.
I agree.
As long as you're not hurting anybody.
Do you think, I don't think we're going to be having these same conversations 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
I hope not.
I think people just have a hard time dealing with the new thing, whatever it is.
I'll be honest, and this is gonna be one of my friends who is a gay male says that he has a lot of gay male friends who do not want to be associated with trans people
because of their taste in beer, right? That's I'm with
yes,
them. Yeah.
After the Budweiser thing came out. No, he's serious though. It's a movement, and I forgot who started it. He sent me it the other day because he said it's getting out of control.
I've heard this too, and I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, Janine, but I heard that's the sentiment in the gay community because gay people had it's longer than what I'm going to say, but let's, for argument's sake, say 30 to 40 year fight to get marriage equality and, you know, to be treated as equal. And the transgender community is like sliding into acceptance so quickly that there's a little bit of a resentment from the gay community. Some of the gay people I know have passed that along to me.
No, that's not it.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to go ahead and correct the gays that I'm friends with, because that's what it was explained to me.
That's what your gays said.
Yeah, because that doesn't make any sense to me.
Because they were like, we fought for this for so goddamn long just to kind of be treated as equal, to get, you know, rights and to get marriage and all this stuff. And people still don't barely accept us. You know, like we just got to the point of feeling normal. And then, you know, here comes the transgender people and they're just being like ushered right in. And like, where was that for us?
Well,
what Glenn
who's
wrote
being ushered in?
said
Look
too.
at who's being ushered in. They're being ostracized because their Bud Light is their sponsor. It's like they're not being ushered in as readily as you think.
Janine, what did you say?
Sorry, Janine.
What Glenn said. My sister is gay and she's so disgusted with this push. That's kind of what my friend said too.
Okay, but what? So why did they say why?
Well, okay, so in his words, he says he does not want to be associated with trans because he said it's not the same as being gay. And also he thinks that trans people have mental problems. So he doesn't see himself. He doesn't think it's the same. And a lot of people think it's the same. A lot of people think automatically if you're trans, you're gay. Or
actually, I could understand being you're in this lane and you're being lumped together with the person in the lane next to you, getting a little offended by that. I could understand that. But I think overall it's the LGBTQ plus thing. I think it's all people that are just in that non-straight I think they're all fighting for equality. So that's why they're being lumped together.
Where you lump the letters together. There is that, but each letter has its own cause, its own being.
Well, not if you're in the plus.
Life.
Not if you're represented by the plus. You didn't get a letter. You just got a plus.
You got a plus. But to say trans people are mentally, what'd you say? That they were mentally what?
They have mental
issues. I mean, that's another closed-minded, terrible thing to say. That doesn't, just because someone is born and they know that they're one gender, but their body says something different, doesn't mean they have a mental issue. It means that it means that they have this one thing going on that once they transition, they feel comfortable. If you ever meet a transitioned person, happy, it's like a complete 180 because they're comfortable with who they are, and it's a good thing.
I wouldn't say that. Not everybody who's transitioned fully is happy.
Well, with their transition, I mean, like, I'm not saying it in general. They probably still have the same problems we have, whatever. But I'm saying with their gender now that they've transitioned, they're becoming more of who they are. When someone's able to do that freely and be who they are in the open, it's going to be better for them. It's better for everybody.
I'm laughing at Paul's comment too.
Jay Sebs, I believe most of the population has mental illness, undiagnosed. That includes me. That's
everybody's got something going on. But
Glenn B, I would love to hear what your sister says, if it's the same as what Janine's friend is saying. So, and now listen, hey, I think the transgender thing is a tough spot because you have a lot of people that do it and they're happy and they're thrilled, and then you have a lot of people, or you have other people that do it not thrilled. You have people who don't do it not thrilled. So it's
but it's nobody's business but that person. If they have to go through whatever they got to go through to feel like themselves, that's none of my business. It's none of your business.
Everything is my business, first of all.
All right, you're the exception.
I got a podcast here.
I see.
But see the microphone in front of our faces? That allows us to rile into everybody's business. But I'm just saying it's a relatively new thing as far as being spoken about and accepted out in the open. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's not a cohesive thing. And I what I mean by that is, again, like I said, there's people who do it and regret it. There's people who don't commit to it as much as other people. There are so many different variations in it that changes things. So it's not as clean and easy as a movement of I'm gay and I want to be married. Like that was an easy one to accept. There's 40 different variations inside of trans that doesn't make it as clear, and that is thus I think harder for society to accept because it's harder to understand, and we're stupid.
But it's like, why does it, like, if your neighbor is a trans person, how does that affect? It's none of your business. Whatever they do, whatever they wear, however they want, if they want to be called Miss or Mister, why does that hurt you? Let them be who they want to be. Call them whatever they want to be called. It doesn't negatively affect you. So move on with your life. Pay attention to your own life. If someone wants to do something that makes them feel better and be a better individual, then let them do that.
It's true. We look the other way when Ranger fans and Yankee fans. So why not for transgender people?
Okay.
Jeremy Renner tells all. Dear Lord. Jeremy Renner was on.
Yeah, this was holy crap.
What's ABC's 60 Minutes? I forget what it's called. I don't know.
Diane Sawyer.
Thank you.
It was, yeah, there you go. I watched some of it. I didn't watch all of it.
What'd you think? Well, first give a synopsis of what happened.
So basically, he has a big ass house with lots of snow. So he had his whole family there basically for Christmas, New Year's break. And I guess they were all going to go out skiing. So they needed to clear some snow away. So he had one of those big machines. What are they called? Snowcat? What's it called?
Snowcats, are they?
Was that it?
I think, yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. And So he was with his nephew, and he was operating it, and they were trying to move snow, and his nephew was between the snow thing and the truck, and I guess it slid this thing, and Jeremy tried to see where his nephew was, so he kind of like
It looked like
went.
he jumped on the big track, like the
Well,
tank
no,
track.
he was looking out. He was still in this snow thing. He was looking out, and then he fell off, and then he was trying to get back up on it, and the thing went over him.
Yeah, it's like a tank's tracks. Those
Yep.
big long, But they
Metal
have like
things.
these. Yeah, but they have like these big blades on them that help it move through the snow, and this thing just ran over him. And the detail he went into. Ooh, I don't mean to cut you off, Faisal. Go ahead.
I love him, by the way.
He's a hero.
Oh, he's so hot.
Saved his nephew. Did you hear what he said about like when this thing went over him? He said he could see his eye with his other eye.
Yep.
His eye popped out, and he could see it with his other eye.
From the force. Yep.
Yeah, for being run over by this thing. How many bones were broken and whatever happened? And I'm amazed how good he came out in this. How good he looked and how
I know.
he was doing great in that interview. I mean, he said he still has a lot of pain in his jaw. They have like pins and screws and stuff in there, and he's sitting there. He's going like this, and it's killing him. It's hurting him. But that is some recovery from what he went through.
Yeah, I put the illustration from ABC, credit them for that, where he goes to jump into the cab, but he got caught on the little track there and sucked forward, and boom, and then the thing just ran over him.
Yeah, he went on top of that track, that tire thing, and then as it moved, it pushed him forward in front of it, and then that's where he fell, and then it went right over him. Oh, and you could see those blades on the tires.
Yeah, huge.
He could get it. He looks very good for his age. Do you know how old he is?
50 something, I thought, right?
Yeah.
50 what? 57, 8, 6?
50, no. 52.
52. He's
Damn.
Hawkeye, baby.
He could get it.
You know what? Because of Hawkeye or just him in general?
I loved him before this.
Wasn't he? Was he in The Town? Was that him?
So, yeah. He was in one of the Born something or others with the one that didn't have Matt Damon.
He was good in The Town when taller, brown-haired Matt Damon was like, "Hey, we're gonna go hurt some people, and you can't ask any questions." And he's like, "Which cow are we taking?" That was fucking badass. You know the clip I'm talking about?
Yeah, sure.
All right, thanks.
Go ahead.
You know what got me though was the moment where he was like, because she was like, "Were you in pain or what was it?" And he was like, "There was pain all over." He goes, "You start to wonder, is this what life is gonna be like? What is my life gonna be like now?" That hit me so hard because it was like, oh my God, that's kind of what happens to you when you get a little scare. You're like, is this what life?
This is my existence now.
Yeah, and that's so like, oof.
I know. After I gave birth, I was like, oh my God.
Is this how I'm going to feel forever?
Is my asshole always going to hurt like this?
That is, in fact, what she said.
No joke.
So Jeremy Renner, he goes, he was saying that I don't want to be hooked up to machines. He was saying to his family, if I have to be kept alive by machines or tubes, he goes, just end it.
Really?
Yep. He didn't want to live like that.
Damn.
And he was saying that the biggest burden, like he didn't want to do that, like what all this did to his family, like everybody had to pull together or whatever. But it's like, yeah, you got to worry about yourself, dude. You got to, your family supports you. You support them. Man, it doesn't get much better than that, man. He saved his nephew and got run over by this thing. Jeez, I can't even imagine the pain.
Yeah, neither can I. People in New York City are losing their shit because restaurants are trying to impose 90-minute limits on dinner reservations.
Again? Why?
Yeah.
Turn over tables faster.
Yeah, I think they're still just trying to make ends meet right now. Even though we're out of the pandemic, I think it's just people are coming in and sitting down and expecting to have a table for like 4 hours. You know,
Those days are long gone.
Who sits in a restaurant for 4 hours? Unless it's a party, like, what are you doing there? You eat, you talk a little bit, you move on. Why are you sitting there for 4 hours?
If I like you, you're going to be there a long time with me. If I don't, that's how you know I don't like you. I'm like,
thank
check.
God we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, right? But
I feel like if you're like catching up with somebody, a 4-hour gathering is not an uncommon thing.
4 hours at a restaurant, just sitting at like a dinner table? That's a long time. I feel like of a wedding reception.
You're right. I feel like if you're going to catch up with somebody, that's a lunchtime thing. That's not a dinner time thing.
I could see 2 hours. If you're catching up with somebody, or if you have a big table, like a table of 8 people, it takes a while for the food to get there and all this stuff, and you're catching up with a lot of people. Maybe that time should be 2 hours instead of that. But I feel like 90 minutes is ample time for 2 people or maybe even 4 people. I'm not cool with them kicking you out and being like, it's 90 minutes, get the fuck out. Not a big fan of that. But
what if it was a trans person that told you they needed 4 hours?
With a Bud Light. More Bud Light, sir.
You know what's crazy though? When you go out to eat, what do you say your average dinner time is out to eat? You and your significant other. You and your significant other. Length of time. Wait, what was the other part?
Time you go out or length of time? Like the time you start to eat or?
Like the time from the time you sit down at the table.
Okay. You're talking about length of time that you're there.
Till you pay the check.
Well, I went out to eat with Erin tonight, and we were there about maybe an hour, a little tiny bit more, not even. Weren't there very long.
I guess it'll depend on how busy the restaurant is, but I'd say probably close to 2 hours.
To 2 hours.
Yep.
You really like talking to him, don't you?
Just you and your roommate.
I like talking to other people. That's why I sit at the bar and we pretend like we're not with each other. And I'll start talking to the person who I'm next to, and he'll start talking to the person who he's next to.
Yeah, my wife tells me that too. She's like, we have to go out to eat. She's like, I miss talking to you. And I'm like, why? I don't get it.
She should start a podcast.
Instead, because you don't want to be interrupted by, let me tell you something every fucking 2 minutes. Let me tell you something.
But I tell her, for somebody who tells me to shut up 17 times a day, that's kind of a crazy. I swear to you, my daughter will. When I start to talk to my wife, my daughter comes running over, and most of the time she has nothing to say, and she just goes, Dad, and she just waits till she has my attention, and then she's like, oh shit, now I have to figure out, I gotta tell him something. Yeah. And she just makes shit up. But I don't know what it is. She just does not want my wife talking to me.
You should have answered her right away. She wouldn't have forgot what she had to say.
No, she doesn't forget. She has nothing to say. She just has nothing. She just cock blocking my wife from getting a conversation going with me.
I know how that goes. Every fucking night of my life.
All right, so 2 hours and a little over an hour. What's amazing to me about the time you spend going out to eat, how long are you eating at home? 15 minutes.
Yeah.
10. Maybe 10.
I mean,
why is it so much longer when we go out?
Because you got to order, you got to wait for, you have different courses. Sometimes you get appetizers. When you're eating at home, you make one course and you shovel it in, and that's that.
That's what I'm saying. You like shovel it in. It's just like you're just like and done. You're like out of here. 10 minutes. We're off this table. But
it is different.
You go out to dinner and it's like an hour and a half.
Well, I feel like the first 10 minutes is looking at the menu. And you order a drink. They go away. They come back for a little bit. You're talking. Then you got to order appetizer. Oh, put the appetizer in. Have you decided an entree? Oh, no, you just need a few more minutes. You take a few more minutes to order the entree. And then once you order everything, then they have to cook it. The time they bring it over and you eat it. Then, you're going to have coffee afterwards. You're going to have cake. It's a long process. It's, But when you're at home, you know what you're eating long before you start the process.
Do you look at when you're going somewhere? Do you look at the menu beforehand and pick the food beforehand?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm that person.
Let me ask you a question. Do you do that more so now? I feel like it's so much easier now because you can go online and look at the menu. You could even go on like Yelp and see what the dishes actually look like.
That's right.
Are you more that way now, or were you like always that way?
I always love to look at menus.
Yeah.
Always.
I like to look when I'm sitting at the table. Nice,
You go in cold. You won't. If I say
not
Frank,
cold,
we're going
not
here.
always. Not always.
Like for Frank's birthday, I looked to see what they were going to serve.
Yeah, just to see what type of food they have.
Yeah.
Is there anything there I'm going to like and narrow it down? If it's a new place I've never been to before, then I'll check out the menu and check out what kind of food they have. Natasha taps. Good. There you go.
I'm doing okay, Natasha. Yeah, I love to scout a menu out, but I will never. This is the weird thing I do. I will look ahead of time, get kind of an idea of where I want to be. Then when I look at the menu, I narrow it down to 2.
Yeah, me too.
And then when the server comes over, I make a split last minute decision.
Yep.
Every time?
Every time.
All right.
Yeah, every time. What's weird is, and I think it's the reason why I'm married to her, cosmically, whatever my 2 is usually what my wife is considering. And so we just wind up ordering that and kind of like sharing.
Yeah, we usually do that too. Like the same. Oh, if you're not going to get that, I'm going to get that. Okay, and then we can split it. All right, cool.
Yeah, that's a great way to be. That's why I don't know why people go through life alone. I would like Jay Sam's opinion on breaking up with the barber, but we have a pre-show topic that got out of control that we have to talk about. Which one do you want to do first?
I got to go.
Okay, then we'll do one. Which one do you want to do?
The pre-show topic.
Okay, go ahead. You want to tell us what you shared with us pre-show?
So in our group chat, I'm not exactly sure what Anthony was talking about. Not you, Anthony, the other Anthony. But I came in with, we were talking about the Jewish culture. And I said, meanwhile, they would suck blood from a baby's penis. To which, before I got on the show, I was backstage and Frank looked horrified and also looked like I made this up. And I was actually horrified myself backstage because I could not believe these two never heard of this thing. Now, it is called Mitzaitza Bipe, whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It really is a thing where a rabbi will suck the blood out of a baby's penis during a circumcision. Now, it is even on the NYC Health Gov page.
What?
I'm not kidding you. It's
why?
It is when the mohel, how do you say it? Moil.
Okay, Viola. Holy shit.
Listen, I met my first Jewish person when I was 25, so.
Good job hiring a moil. You picked a hell of a moil.
When they use their mouth to suck blood away from the baby's circumcision wound as part of the circumcision ritual. So there was a big thing because babies were getting herpes. I cannot believe you guys never heard of this before.
I can't believe this is a real thing we're talking about.
Swear to God.
Fucking shocked.
Okay.
This is okay.
They even have alternatives to direct oral suctioning on the page.
What?
Yeah, I'm telling.
Like a device that they would use instead.
I'm telling. You guys have never heard of it.
Still something that happens, or is that like an old tradition?
She's not lying.
Look at these people. Oh hell nah. Say what?
This is still something that happens, or it's an older thing.
No, this still happens. Please don't say it again, J Sabs.
It's on nyc.gov.
Oh man.
I cannot believe you guys never heard of this before.
No, why would we hear of this?
Anybody in the chat?
How many brisses we have not attended.
I've never attended one.
Never went to one.
All right. I feel like I'm going to need to have a meeting with some of my Jewish friends here.
And say, what the?
I'm sure there's
Look at
got to
this.
be
Alternatives to direct oral suctioning. How about a napkin? How about can we get him gauze? I'd love to get him a gauze pad. Show him what that could do.
Yeah, it works wonders. There's got to be, if you're a parent and you're having a bris, I'm sure you could be like, don't do that. Right?
Not all Jewish people do it. I forgot which. Let's see. Yeah, some religious authorities consider direct oral suctioning the only acceptable way to draw blood away from the circumcision cut.
The only acceptable way. That's the only acceptable way.
Yep.
I can't.
Is this how Republicans feel about a transgender person drinking a beer? Like how I feel right now? Is that what they feel?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
Because I'm very uncomfortable with all of this.
I mean, what's the religious reasoning behind this? Is it supposed to be? Why would they do that?
Judging by some of the reaction, I'm going to say I would love a quick poll in the live chat. 1, if you've heard of this, right? 2, if you've never heard of this. I would just a simple 1, if you've heard of this. 2, if this is the first time you're hearing of this. Because I don't think we're alone on this. Have you heard of this? The rabbis sucking blood out of a baby's penis during a bris? Cuddles is on Team Frank and Ant.
I cannot believe you guys had never heard of this.
It sounds vaguely familiar. Like I've heard it once and I blocked it out forever. But I don't know why this would happen.
I forgot what I said. 1, if you heard of it. And 2, if you...
I don't know. What was 1? All right. 1, if you remember what Anthony said. 2, if you don't remember what Anthony
Stop it. Confusing everybody. A lot of 2s coming in here. A lot of deuces.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
This is something. This is, I don't...
I mean, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I don't...
I got to be honest with you. I thought the Catholics had some dumb fucking traditions, but this one takes the cake. I mean, dear Lord.
That's not. I feel like if I were Jewish and was having a bris, I'd be like, Rabbi, circumcise all you want. That's where it stops.
Can I tell you something? I'm against the bris to begin with. Like, I need a doctor. That to me, well, let's do that within the first 3 minutes of life in the hospital.
Right? That's when it's usually done if you're not having a bris.
Yeah, but a bris is...
That's like later.
It's a bit later.
It's a bit later. That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Do they numb? I mean, they probably don't.
I don't really know.
First, I don't know.
No, totally sure.
It's not all Jewish people. It's only a certain sector. I don't know. It's not all Jewish people, but imagine what?
Why?
I can't even.
Why?
I don't even.
A tissue would be better. What do you?
Yeah, we didn't have a sleeve. One of these things.
Yeah, just well, you know. There's other ways. I don't know why this. I mean,
okay, listen. If you I'm
speechless right now.
If you poke your own finger and you give it, and it's bleeding, and you give it one of these, that's where it ends. That is, and even that's a little disgusting, if you ask me.
Yes,
that's a little gross.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Why?
I don't know. I want to go home.
Can we move on from this?
I am home. Yeah, let's move. It's a good call.
Thank you.
Good call. All right, I'm in CVS and I'm getting stuff for Easter for the kids.
Uh-huh.
And in walks this woman, and we make eye contact, right? Direct eye contact. So now I have this moment of like, oh, I know you, but I don't know where I know you from.
Uh-huh.
And she sees me, I see her, can't get out of it. She says, hey. I go, hey, how's it going? She's like, good. Do you ever have a conversation? You ever have like a 30-second conversation that you still have no fucking clue?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's like Jerry with the Chinese restaurant. It's like then she tells my father tells her sister, and it's the Bermuda Triangle of
Yeah. So finally I realized it was the girl I used to get my haircuts from.
Oh.
And she owned the place where I used to go to get
Oh,
let me ask you this: why did you leave?
The pandemic.
Okay, why did you not go back?
Okay, this is one of the weird things about your old pal Ant. So during the pandemic, when nothing was open, I couldn't take the hair grow. You know me, Frank. My hair grows out all sorts of directions.
Mm-hmm.
So we ordered one of those clippers for the house.
You started doing them by yourself.
So my wife started doing it, and then it kind of became a thing, and then it was kind of like
a sexual thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, then it got a little sexual and weird and exciting at the same time. But then it was like, then when the barbershops opened again, I was like, you had to go and wear a mask. And I was always like, if I could avoid going to the thing and wearing the mask, I would do that. So we stuck with just doing it at home. And here we are, like 3 years later, and we still just do it.
You still do it at home?
All right, so that's, you know what, though?
It's weird.
If you left a barber for another barber, that's different. But
what is she going to suck the blood out of your next circumcision?
You left the barber, not for another business. You left it for you doing it yourself. That's acceptable, I think.
It's weird. I fully admit it's one of the weird things that I do. But it's kind of become like a time where my wife and I, like, we talk, like, it's just it's us for the most part. Like, she'll do my son's hair too, because it's just like, it's easy, because that's the other pain in the ass. Like, he doesn't get haircuts the same time as I. Like, it just never works out that way, where sometimes it does. But so then it's like, we have to find more time to go to the barber shop and sit there and do the whole thing. And it's so annoying. And then he's covered in hair in the car. He's covered in hair the whole ride. He hates it. He's complaining about being it. Now here, like, we buzz him, right into the shower, and it's over with, Right. And it's so anyway, like, it's become like a time where it's like we could just talk, her and I, like, we just kind of like bullshit, and she does it. And
that's sweet.
It's become like a little thing, but I feel like it's a weirdo thing to be like, where do you get your haircut? My wife does it. She a stylist? No.
I do it at home. I
forced her to do it. It's weird. It's a weird thing that I do.
So what happened with this conversation? You ran into her?
You are awesome, Cuddles.
Did she, like, question, where have you been?
No. But like, once I finally, like, so I went from feeling awkward because I'm like, I don't know who you are or why we're even talking about this, to, oh, I know who you are now, and I realized I abandoned your business during the toughest time ever, and I never came back. And then, I don't even think it's an acceptable thing. Like, I feel like breaking up with a barber is worse than breaking up with a significant other.
I mean, because there's no closure for the most part. I feel like breaking up with a barber is just, you stop going.
Yeah.
You don't go there and go, this is going to be the last time because I can't stand coming here anymore.
That's true.
But then it gets awkward if you run into that person like you did.
Like, don't you think, like, not I'm saying me or like all the time, but every now and then, don't you think they go, I wonder what happened to Gary? He was coming here for like 8 years, and all of a sudden one day, just nothing.
The only time I ever broke up with a barber was when I moved out of the neighborhood. I had no choice. I'm not driving a half an hour to get my hair cut every time.
Yeah, that's craziness.
So that was it. Other than that, I don't have a regular person that I go to now, but I do go to a place that, it's one of three places. It's a chain place. I go to one of two locations, and it's not the same person that does it every time. I think it's literally like a different person every time I go in there.
All right, here we go, Raven. I cut my own hair and also my roommates. I think we're going to start a club.
All right. Taking jobs away from stylists and barbers. I see. All right.
But so Frank and I used to go to the same barber, and he was, Joe the Butcher was a barber.
He was a barber. It's the Seinfeld guy. It's basically, remember the Seinfeld episode with the barber? That's who we went to.
Yes, 100%.
It's old school Italian barber shop with the spinning pole thing and the whole setup.
He had fucking anisette in the corner that you could take a little shot of.
He had Playboy magazines out on the table. Just for anybody to just pick up and look at. And I think he had booze in there too. Like if you want to just take a shot while you were sitting there.
He had a whole tray of booze.
This was a while back.
Yeah. Well, not too while back. Let's not make it sound like we're ancient.
Yeah.
But there was a relationship there. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's time or we both moved, but it doesn't exist anymore. And so you don't feel like you just said, like I go to some place and it's one of three people or whatever it is, so it's like,
I look around, there's a few local places in my neighborhood. I'm sure people have regular, barbers or whatever. There's a few barber shops around my neighborhood that people go to, but I tried one of them once. I was like, didn't really vibe with the place, so I went to the chain place.
It's hard to find. Can I tell you something too? God bless her heart. She did a fine job. I was never in love with any of it, and it wasn't her. In fact, a couple of times she gave me a haircut. It was great. It was like her people were always kind of like rotating. You don't get into a group. Like when we were going to Joe the Butcher, we didn't even say anything. We sat in the chair and it was done. Like he knew what you had. It was not an issue.
Yep.
I was maybe the first couple of times you had to figure it out with him, but after that it was done. And then for 15 years, it was like great.
Yeah. He just knew. You sat down. He didn't even look at you. All right. What are we doing? No,
yeah.
I got to add in. You're done.
Yeah, you're done.
That was it.
I don't know how we remembered everybody's haircut too. It's kind of crazy. Bird, I haven't paid for a haircut in 10 to 15 years. I cut my own.
Yeah.
Misfit Jester, I cut and fade my own hair too. It's hard. Look, these are my people, Frank.
Hey, if I had another mirror, I'd probably do it myself.
Yeah, and you know what it is too. We're so like it's not like a woman's hair, which takes time and care and can be shaped and cut, and it makes a difference. Yeah. A guy's hair, it's like it doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't really, unless you're Prince.
It's true.
I mean, what are you doing? Just done.
Like a woman's hair can change the way she looks. She could become a bit more beautiful. She can be enhanced. You're not a man. You're not changing anything.
Yeah. I go to the barber. I go short on top, shorter on the sides. That's basically it.
That's it.
Okay, zip, zip, zip. I'm literally 5 minutes in the chair.
See, that's good.
That's long.
Sometimes I would be in that chair for 20, 25 minutes. And I'm like, let's go already. Like, enough with this.
I sit there and go, I remember one of the last times I went, I'm sitting there, they did their thing, and all of a sudden they pulled the big thing off, the sheet off of me, and I was like, that's it? I'm $20. I was in this chair for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That was it. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it kind of seems crazy.
Fine. It was a big, sometimes, then there are barbers that go the extra mile. They get the shaving cream, they get the straight razor, they go around, they get then they get the hot towel and everything. Then you go there on some days and it's like, zip, 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 and you're done. And it's like, I'm not doing the extra shit. It's like, all right.
With everything I just said, I will say, like, I do fantasize about going to one of those old school places. Right. And getting the fucking hot towel wrapped around my face and getting, like, to me that seems like an Atlantic City thing. Like, you go
That's a bachelor party thing.
Like, you get a massage, you go to the fucking hot tub.
You could get that kind of treatment that, like, if you go to like a professional massage place, you get a face, I don't know, wrap or exfoliate, whatever they do there, and then they massage you. can get that done.
No, but I'm saying that this is what I would do. I'd go massage,
Right.
hot tub for a little while, then go get a full haircut, like the straight razor shave, the hot towel, all that. I do all that stuff. Get the fresh cut, shower, go have a nice fucking dinner, and then go sit at the table for a couple hours. Like, to me, that's a man's day right there.
That is a good day.
Doesn't that sound appealing?
That is nice.
Like getting a nice straight razor shave, there's old fucking Frank Sinatra music playing in the back. Like, you don't know if you're gonna get whacked or fucking
this guy's got a razor to your throat. You don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
that's when you're in a barbershop.
You got a big fat steak and a goddamn old fashioned waiting for you on the other side of that straight razor shaving.
Are you coming with me to Atlantic City?
I'm not allowed to go to Atlantic City.
I hate you.
My wife won't let me. Not permitted.
Come on, Cuddles. Can she hear me? She can't hear me.
She can't hear you. Quickly, I kind of lost interest in this topic since we started the show, to be totally honest with you.
I don't even know what this is. What is this?
This was they released a history of the catch and kill stories from the National Enquirer. None of these were all that surprising. Probably remember most of them. Harvey Weinstein. There was an Arnold Schwarzenegger one where I think it was the fake kid, or he banged the maid. I think that was like held for a little while or whatever it was. A lot of these I don't really give a shit about. But the one that kind of struck me was Matt LeBlanc. I don't really remember that.
What was his?
In 2005, he confided with the National Enquirer about his drunken exploits with a stripper in British Columbia, Canada, but solely to keep the tawdry details from hitting the newsstands. After getting reports of LeBlanc doing drugs and hooking up with a woman other than his wife, the Enquirer negotiated terms with LeBlanc's team to have the actor give a first-person account while not explicitly admitting to being unfaithful. A former employee of the National Enquirer told the New York Post. The story on LeBlanc's wild night with a stripper notes how close the actor came to betraying Melissa McKnight, then his wife of 2 years. They divorced a year later. He said, the stripper was all over me. I acted like a fool, allowing myself to be led astray and placed in such a horrible situation. I feel ashamed. But the Enquirer's story downplayed how hot and heavy he got with the unidentified exotic dancer. It wasn't a proper kill, according to the reporter, who confirmed the story was watered down. The stripper claimed to have had sex with LeBlanc, took a lie detector test, and she passed. So he banged out the stripper, and they just made it sound like he just got like a lap dance and was like a little, like, All
right. So he banged the stripper. He cheated on his wife. Okay.
Yeah, so that was one of their stories. And yeah, Tiger Woods was the other one. I feel like all the other ones we kind of know and are aware of.
All these things. I didn't know the Matt LeBlanc thing, but we heard these things. I mean,
it's the National Enquirer. It's not like they're the paper of record. Yeah.
Right. Plus the National Enquirer, you can't believe anything they put out there. They're the ones reporting we finally got Bigfoot or whatever the fuck they're saying.
Yeah, that's true. It's very, very true. The Simpsons predicted it yet again, Frankie C.
This blew my mind. You sent me this today. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because the Simpsons are predicting everything, but this was insane. This was a crazy one.
Super close to home, right? Like, it's like...
I was blown away by this one. I don't know how this isn't more popular right now. I haven't seen it anywhere. I don't know where you found it, but I haven't seen this making the rounds. So you'd think this would have blown up by now.
Yeah. So who's the news reporter on The Simpsons?
Oh, Kent Brockman. So
Ken Brockman is doing a report on the Barbie movie.
Right. So this is back in 1994.
1994.
Season like 2, 3, or 4 or something like that of The Simpsons.
Yeah. So he's doing a report talking about a Barbie movie in theaters, and then he drops this little nugget as what just went on with our world in the last week.
Yeah,
well,
I'll just play. Yeah, just
in the
play.
current, yeah. And there is a Barbie movie coming out. In case people don't know, there was a trailer that was just dropped this week for the Barbie movie.
Impossible to stop talking. It's just really fascinating news, folks. Good night. Oh, and the president was arrested.
Okay, the music on that clip really drowns out what he's saying.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I think we heard what he said. He goes, basically, it's just fascinating news. The Barbie movie making the round, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, it's just, what people are interested in. And then as an aside, he goes, oh, and the president was arrested. I'm like, holy shit. How the hell? How is that not like big? I know they predict everything, but that just freaked me out. That was some witchcraft voodoo stuff that I don't. How the hell they I mean, I know they did 1 million episodes, and you're gonna get some things, but that's a little on the nose.
What's so strange about it, because it works as a joke for the time. Like, who cares about a Barbie movie when the president gets arrested? I think that's where the bit for them comes from. But you're right. I mean, the friggin' Barbie trailer just came out. Trump just got arrested. Like, it is like way too close to home.
Because that's a realistic story that, that's like if you turn on the news, realistically, you could hear a newscaster talk about the Barbie movie and then talk about Trump being arrested. It's like, it's the same news cycle.
You watch The Simpsons a lot. You watch The Simpsons a lot, right?
I haven't watched. I've seen, I haven't seen like the last, I don't know how many seasons. I fell out of The Simpsons a while back, but I've been trying to catch up with them, but I haven't watched a big chunk of them.
You watched it more than I have.
Absolutely.
Did they ever play the lottery in that show? Like where there's numbers that we can see and play ourselves?
It's a good question. Probably.
Because that would be the all-time.
Lottery. They do football, Super Bowl stuff. Yeah, they did a Super Bowl prediction. I think that was one of them. That someone won that hasn't won in forever, and they won. I don't know, but it was like they picked the two teams that were facing each other and who won, and it was crazy. But there's some weird shit in that show, and I feel like it's mostly within the first like 15 seasons. For the most part, the predictions. I don't know about the last half of The Simpsons. I don't think a lot of the predictions come out of there, but mostly the first half. And it's like, it's mind-boggling how accurate some of this stuff is.
That's interesting. I wonder if anybody left the show and then the predictions stopped, because that's something we'd want to run down, right?
Right? Conan probably had something to do with that.
That's definitely fucking Conan. Son of a bitch. I always felt that way too, where I feel like this is like the Matrix is broken kind of moment. Do you remember in Back to the Future where they were talking about the World Series and the Cubs beat Miami? And it was like, Miami doesn't have a team. And then South Florida got a team, the Florida Marlins, and then they eventually changed their name to the Miami Marlins.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
Some crazy stuff happening.
Agreed, Frankie C. Agreed.
I love Back to the Future. One of my favorite movies. A lot of plot holes in that movie, but it's still great. Still amazing.
Yeah, I know there is. I don't lean on the plot. I don't pay attention to it because I think that's such a perfect trilogy.
I could still enjoy every second of that movie. All three of them.
It's so good. The music and the feel. I still get the feels with some of the moments.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's a classic. And it's not even like one of those cult classics. It's like a widely loved classic.
I was about to say they don't make movies like they used to, but I stopped myself from saying that. I sound like such a fucking old man.
Back in my day, we had Marty McFly and Doc Brown. Not the bullshit they have today.
Did you ever watch Ready Player One?
Yes.
What'd you think? Because I felt like that was like a bit of a continuation for Spielberg. I mean, the fucking car was in it. There was elements of Back to the Future in it. I liked it though.
Yeah, I mean they had it was a glimpse into the AI future of it all, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. I only saw it once, but I enjoyed it. Not a bad movie. I recommend.
I'm waiting for those full body gloves.
Right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
One day, man, we're just gonna be in the metaverse? See people for days.
Not at all. All right, Frankie. See, that is it for us. We hope everybody has a wonderful Passover and a phantasmic Easter.
True.
That's it.
And become a member, folks. We got the 420 show coming up soon.
Don't sleep on that.
Show me potato salad.
Don't sleep on 420 show.
Maybe we should go now.
Go ahead.